right underneath your own hand.
So, another great point that comes up in this kata and also it really follows through in almost all really good IQ applications. From the point of view of my particular preferences, which is based on sensitivity, timing, and Mizushi, more than just overwhelming body dynamic, is that we want to stimulate the reflexes of the throw for very small amounts of time. We want their body reflex to be triggered. I like to think of it like a light switch where you just flick it on and off. It's just a moment where the reflex is triggered. You don't get there and turn the light switch and hold it down, you know, or you don't grab the light switch and hold it up, you know. It's just flick, flick. And that's kind of what you want to be happening in your hands too. And in fact, sometimes you have to be able to have it happen in your hands. When we're doing shionagi or kotegaishi, the common thing and the common way we learn them as grappling techniques is to grapple with them. So it's very common to reach in and grab this with two hands, and twist it down here, and hold it with a lot of power, and move through here and hold this power, and then do some you know, much in Daito here. You just drive it through the floor. And you can. It can be done that way. But to do what we were talking about, which is to throw on the back step, you really can't afford. You can have a little moment of control here, sort of an empty holding feeling here. Everything gets light, and then right at the peak, right way up here, where we're both way high, there's a moment where my hand actually has a little grip function right at the top. But it only hits him like a switch. And when you did it to me, and you got the back step happening, that's exactly what happened. Yeah! Now then you step back or forward. I felt a little force. Yeah. Okay, so try it with just the back step. And he's got a beautiful. Yeah! Right. Nice. There's just this moment of like you're shaking something off your hand, you know? Almost. Kotegaishi is the same way. Kotegaishi, when we touch this thing, and drop it in his hold, there's a moment where power is being delivered. Our body weight's falling through our hand on his body and setting it in his hold, and then our arm relaxes like it's zero. It's just staying in a relationship, but it's not doing any kind of job. It's not grabbing or pushing or pulling. And he floats and he rises, and we rise with him, and we maintain relationship. So we basically stay together, and my hand is still here, but it's not, still not gripping. Still not gripping. Till right there. Till just as his weight tries to settle into that next step. Then there's a moment of grip, which is very, very different than what I learned when I first tried to learn kotegaishi, which was, well, you grab this with two hands like this, then you step back, and then you're pushing it and trying to push this thing over. What do you call that? Well, you might, but that has a high degree of failure with two armed people, because he's got a second arm. And when I do that to him, I sit down, this is in my face. It's pissing me off, you know. I don't want that thing in my face. But the weird thing is the one where you just touch it, he can have a second arm, that's fine, I don't really care. Because you're out here in space. The time where he could come pounding on you, you're not in there tangling with him. You're not bearing down on him. You're not trying to do anything to him except stay in relationship. And when he puts his foot down, then you say, ha ha, I can make a grip now. But you don't give yourself the luxury of gripping early and holding on for a long time. You don't flip a switch and hold it up for a long time. You just hit it right at the right moment. And the timing is that, right? Just as his weight is on that foot, really is tighter than that. Right? As his weight hits the ground, and it starts to slide into, most pointedly, this part of his foot right there, right over the little toe. Because of the shape of the foot, if you angle it towards his big toe, it's a bigger structure. But you see people, this first thing that hits him goes toward the big toe, doesn't it? And he has a little stability. He can fight that with the big toe. He can stop and pull back against it. The shape of the foot allows him to do that. If we chopped his big toe off, and we did this to him, it would be just as catastrophic as the colligation toe. Because he wouldn't have a structure down there to push back off against the metatarsal in his foot to stabilize against. So we see what happens against the big toe here. And then when this next body rise happens, we get our shot. And little toe, right there. Just as you get the angle on that foot falling, you push right through the line of that little toe with your grip. That's the actual job you're trying to do. It has almost nothing to do with twisting. So there's a big part of the world that kotegaeshi is considered a matter of twisting the wrist or reversing the wrist or whatever. It's a lot more about pushing through this line right here to actually cause them to go in the air. Now, you can twist the wrist and it'll hurt and it'll keep their body asymmetrical and it'll do a lot of good jobs for you. It's just not what makes them go in the air. There are people that say, just twist it and they'll jump. Well, some people will. Some people, you twist their wrist, they'll just piss them off, they'll hit you. You know? So, if you actually want to make them go into the air involuntarily, you can't get fixated on the twist. Because the involuntary jump into the air is the reflex off the little toe through the metatarsal, going to the weak zone at the moment as they try to put weight on the damn thing. You can't do it before because if he's trying to push, if he gets lined up over there where I want to be, and my foot's still in the air and he tries to push it, well then my foot will move. And my big toe will start taking over the right? So he has to be patient. He can't afford to grip, he can't afford anything. He has to wait, right. I couldn't stop it. Right about there. And there's not anything I can do about it either. Because there is no structure there to do the job that needs to happen. I don't have a second big toe growing off that side. It's a weak zone in the foot. Not weak, but I think it'd be really weird. We'd have feet more like birds, you know, where they've got the big thing and the big thing. They're very balanced that way. They've got the triangular foot. They've got thing here and thing here and thing here. So they're cool. We've got a thing here and a thing there with our heel, which is pretty good. And then we got a stubby thing on the other side. And throwing off that little stubby portion, the little toe side, is the tricky business. Cool. So try that a little bit. You don't have to fling each other in the air, but you do want to aim the timing of the grip and the angle for your objective. Cool? Okay.